Unfortunately, my Mountaineers continued their losing ways, this time going down to the Oklahoma Sooners at home in Morgantown, 72-62. Let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, coming to you again from the hills of wild and wonderful Almost Heaven, West Virginia. This is Coos' Corner. If you like college sports videos almost every day, hit the red subscribe button because this is the channel for you. If you like this specific video, hit that like button, please, underneath. And I'm giving away a football helmet. How would you like to win a football helmet with your favorite college team? Now's your chance. All you got to do is purchase one of these raffle tickets. $5 per ticket on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Those are all in the description box. Or if you want to get more perks in addition to getting in the contest, go to my Patreon page and join my Patreon page. The link will be above my head at the end of the video, or it's in the description box below. Now let's get on with the show. Mountaineers go down 72-62 to the Oklahoma Sooners in Morgantown. Really disappointing loss in what I felt was a must-win game for the Mountaineers. The Mountaineers are now on a 4-game losing streak, and their schedule does not get easier from here. What are the reasons they lost this game? Well, I'll tell you what I think. Number one, too many turnovers. West Virginia continues to turn the ball over way too much. Number two, not able to score in the paint. They continue to miss way too many shots close to the basket. They did do a little better than that in this game than they had in the previous couple, but they're still struggling with that. They're not doing it to the degree they need to win against Big 12 competition. They're just shooting the ball poorly. Their shooting percentage remains to be in the 30s. You cannot win big-time college basketball games shooting the ball in the 30s. They've got to do a better job shooting. Not only close, but they've got to do a better job shooting their outside shots as well. They're giving up a high percentage of field goals to their opponents on the defensive end. They have got to do a better job of guarding shooters and making life hard for shooters on the defensive end of the floor. They're not doing a good enough job of that. There's a lot of shooters in this Big 12, and they've got to do a better job guarding shooters on the defensive end. And then they continue to get out-rebounded. They got out-rebounded once again. This is not a typical Bob Huggins team. You know, he always loves to rebound the basketball. And one of the things he stresses the most with his teams is rebounding. This team is just not very good at it, unfortunately. So they continue to get out-rebounded, and it happened again against Oklahoma. And one of the reasons for their offensive struggles, in my opinion, and even Hugs talked about it after the game, the guys were just standing around way too much. They don't move well without the ball. They don't move enough without the ball. Their passing has been subpar. They're hitting each other in the feet with passes. They're throwing it away, overthrowing it. They're just not well run at all. And according to Huggins, they're not running the offensive sets that they go over at practice in the games. So they've got to do a better job of running the offense that he gives them. He's going to run the offense that can beat the opposing team. If they don't run it, it doesn't work. And if they get caught, you can't do that on any level. No level of basketball can you stand still on offense and be productive. And they're doing way too much of that. So they've got to cut that out and start moving better without the ball and running their sets. Now let's look at some team stats. Statistically, these two teams match up pretty well going in. That's why, in my opinion, West Virginia should have won this game because it was in Morgantown. They've got to win these games in Morgantown, especially against teams that are equal to them or even below them statistically. And when you look at the matchup, field goal percentage, Oklahoma was 51.1%. West Virginia was 37.7%. 3 points, Oklahoma was 5 out of 14, which is 35.7%. West Virginia was 4 out of 16, which is 25%. Free throw shooting, West Virginia was 18 out of 23 for 78.3%. That's not terrible. But Oklahoma was 21 out of 22, which is 95.5%. They shot lights out from the free throw line. Rebounds, Oklahoma 32, West Virginia 26. The worst part about it, on the defensive rebounding front, Oklahoma was 26-16. Assists, Oklahoma 11, West Virginia 7. Steals, Oklahoma 11, West Virginia 11. Blocks, West Virginia actually won that battle 4-1. Total turnovers, Oklahoma 17, West Virginia 15. Fouls, Oklahoma 20, West Virginia 17. And in largest lead of the game, Oklahoma led at 17 at one point. And West Virginia, the most they ever led during the game was 2 points. The biggest issues were field goal percentage and assist to turnover ratio. West Virginia continues to have more turnovers than assists in games, and you just cannot win in college basketball with those kind of margins. Now let's look at some individual player stats. First for West Virginia, Gabe Osabuohien was actually our leading scorer with 17 points. If Gabe Osabuohien is your leading scorer, you've got a problem. Now that's not a bash against Gabe. Gabe is the heart and soul of this basketball team. He might be the most valuable player of the team, to be honest. The guy plays his guts out every single game. He hustles. He gets loose balls. He takes charges. He gets rebounds. He does everything. In this game, he had to score because nobody else would. He steps up and does what he has to do for this team. But Gabe should not be your leading scorer because that's not his strength. So that's not good. These other guys got to step up. Jalen Bridges scored 12. All of them were in the second half. Second half, he was much more aggressive, driving the ball to the rim. He needs to do that consistently, game in, game out. Taz only had 11 this game, well below his average. Just continues to struggle. He was only 4 of 12 from the floor. May be related to the fact that he's still trying to recover from COVID. I'm not sure. Don't know the deal there. Sean McNeil was almost a non-factor. He was only 1 out of 6 from the court. Sean McNeil needs to shoot the ball more than 6 times. He's too good of a shooter. Either he's got to do a better job moving without the basketball, or his teammates need to do a better job setting screens for him to get him open, or they need to do both. And there again, it all comes back to running your offense. If they run the offense properly, it'll create better movement without the ball, it'll create better screens, and it'll create more shot opportunities for your scorers like Sean McNeil. Isaiah Cottrell continues to struggle. Another tough night for him. Not sure what's going on there. I'm sure a lot of it may relate back to the fact that he's basically still a freshman because he's trying to recover from that season-ending injury from last year. An Achilles injury is extremely hard to come back from. Some guys never do, and the ones that do are often never the same again. So it's a struggle. It's been a struggle for him. Key players for Oklahoma, the Mountaineer lookalike, Tanner Groves, had 21 points on 9 of 11 shooting and also had 6 rebounds. And then his brother, Jacob Groves, had 12 points, as well as Umoja Gibson. He had 12 as well. So those were the 3 key players for Oklahoma, but just as a team, they just shot the ball extremely well. So hats off to them for that, and hats off for being the better basketball team. I've got to give them respect and credit for this game because they won. They won it fair and square, and they were the better team that night. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Huggins' post-game press conference and what he said. Now, I'll admit, I was starting to get down on Huggins a little bit. I still love the guy, always have. The guy has earned the right to walk away on his own time when he's ready. I was starting to get frustrated with how he was throwing his players under the bus after games and not holding himself accountable. Well, last night, he made me eat crow. Post-game press conference, Bob Huggins comes out, apologizes to the state of West Virginia for the way the team's been performing, says that he understands how important West Virginia basketball is to the state of West Virginia and its citizens, and vows to fix it, even if it means getting rid of some guys from the team, which he's had to do in the past. I hope it doesn't come down to that, but Huggins will do it if he has to, because he wants to win that badly, and he will do what it takes. Now, he's proven in the past, when he says he'll fix it, he'll fix it. Now, unfortunately, if you look back, before West Virginia was created, we had a bunch of guys he kicked off the team the year before. The team wasn't very good, had a rough season. Off season, he went out and basically cleaned house. They come back with West Virginia the next year, and they ended up being really good. So what that means to me, what that shows me is this. I doubt he'll be able to fix it this year. Another thing Huggs talked about is that he had 2 freshmen on the team who played extremely well at practice the previous week before the game. Seth Wilson and Jamel King. Neither one of those guys played. At least one didn't play at all, and the other one I think only played about a minute and a half or so. He said he didn't feel like they were there defensively yet to put them in, but he's starting to rethink that. He says he may should have played them because they actually outplayed a lot of the starters at practice the week leading up to the game. So we could see more of Jamel King and Seth Wilson going forward, and we also may see more Kobe Johnson because he says that Kobe should have played more as well because he's also been practicing very well. So we'll see. Is he going to put some freshmen out there and see what they can do? At this point in time, why not? What's he have to lose? Because you look at the remaining schedule. I'm going to go over the remaining schedule for the Mountaineers, this gauntlet. Next game at Arkansas in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Arkansas is 15-5 and has won 5 games in a row, so they're on a roll right now. Now is not the time the Mountaineers want to play Arkansas, especially at their place. Then they have to go to Baylor, who's 18-2 and ranked number 4 in the country. Nothing else needs to be said. Then they play at home against Texas Tech, who, by the way, is ranked number 15 in the country and is 15-5 on the year. Then they have another home game against Iowa State, who, oh, by the way, is ranked number 23 in the country and is also 15-5 on the year. Then they go to Oklahoma State. Now, this is one of the games I have circled as a game the Mountaineers should win. But we all know they struggle on the road at times, and Oklahoma State's not a gimme. They can win ball games. Then they go to Kansas State. That's another one that should be a win. Then they're at home against number 5 Kansas, who absolutely boat raced the Mountaineers in Lawrence a few days ago. Then they go to Iowa State. Then they're at home against Texas, who's been ranked most of the year, is a really good defensive team, and who beat the Mountaineers in Austin earlier in the season. But keep in mind, they did not have Taz or Gabe that game because of COVID protocol. But there again, Texas is a really good team. Then they go to Oklahoma, which I also have circled as a win. Maybe they can get revenge on the Sooners in Norman. And then they finish up at home against TCU, who, oh, by the way, is 13-4 on the season, and who just a few days ago beat Iowa State by 15 points on the road in Ames, which is a very tough place to play. Very hostile environment usually in Ames. If you look at this, Mountaineers theoretically should win that game, but man, it's going to be a tough one because Jamie Dixon's got that team playing good basketball right now. But theoretically, I see 4 wins on here, unless they steal a few. And if they only win those 4, which, by the way, those 4 won't be easy. If they only win those 4, that leaves them with 17 wins on the year. And I personally don't think 17 wins will be enough to get him into the NCAA tournament. Unless they can make a run in the Big 12 tournament, unless they can turn things around right now and win some of these games against ranked teams and steal some of these games that they're not supposed to win, but it's feasible that they may not win another game the rest of the season. Because this schedule right here, the way they're playing right now, if they keep playing this way, they won't win another game this year, I don't think. Now, I don't think that'll happen. I do think they'll turn it around and start playing better. But even if they start playing better, none of these games are gimmies because these other teams are good too. So it's really going to be a struggle. Now, I do think Huggs will make major changes in the offseason to turn this team around. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it before season's end because it's just an uphill battle. And I just don't know if the guys he's got on the roster right now are going to be enough collectively to do it. Now, there are individual guys on this team who are playing well, playing hard, playing with heart and emotion and passion and love for the game. And I think there's a few guys who may not be. Huggs even talked about that after the game. He talked about there's some guys who have bad attitudes, and those might be the guys that he ends up getting rid of if they don't straighten up. Well, guys, listen, I hope you liked the video. Sorry if I got a little long-winded. Don't forget about the contest. Check out the links for that. The Patreon link is right here above my head. Go to that if you want to join Patreon and also get in this drawing and future drawings. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate you tuning in. Q Country Roads.